I needed to update my YouTube. Apparently, it doesn't auto update, which I think is a good thing, maybe, but whatever. It's taken care of. We figured it out. It took us a minute. All right, I had a nice little stand all set up, but I gotta adjust it slightly. So just give me a hot minute here.
All right. See if anybody comes back.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm sure at least one person is gonna come back.
Yeah.
Hopefully. It's gonna be YouTube comedy hour here in a minute.
Okay, let me get this pulled up. I have this a little closer so I can actually read comments.
Technology. We figured it out.
Travis, you here? Travis, what's up, buddy?
It wasn't your fault. It was 100% my fault. 100%. I'll take the blame.
I'll let it go this time, Johnny.
Yeah. Next time you're cracking skulls.
I can see on my TV screen. I make sure I look good. What's up, fellas?
Yeah, I was starting to get a little bead of sweat going here. I was like, damn it, I don't know what's going on here. It shouldn't be that hard. It was
all right. Okay, so Travis over at O Shoot, he's kind of wanting to know what in the hell just happened.
Yeah. So, that's your end. I will say this much though: you got to make sure you have the most recent update of YouTube, because I searched on the App Store real quick and it said that I had to update YouTube. So updated you. Nowhere in the error messages did it say update your YouTube.
Maybe you should suggest that.
Yeah. At the very least, like, you don't have the latest update, you should probably update your YouTube. So if you're having a hard time connecting, make sure everybody, both parties involved, all parties involved, have the latest update of YouTube, because otherwise you're gonna get a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Who did that for you? So when you guys go, you don't have to worry about.
We're gonna iron out all the kinks so that everybody else looks good.
That's right. That's all we really came here to do. You guys have a good night too.
Yeah. Have a fine evening.
So anyway, what happened? This all kind of just came about real quick today. I hadn't put anything up for a little bit, and I wanted to get something going. So I was like, I'm just going to go live tonight. And then Johnny commented on it, and I asked him if he wanted to do a show with me sometime. And so we ended up, long story short, here we are. So, and I knew we were talking about this earlier about how this is probably going to go all jacked up to begin with.
You actually said, I'm going to start like 20 minutes early so that we can get the kinks worked out before it starts. And well, here we are. Now we made it.
6:34.
Yeah. I'm taking the blame though. It's not your fault. It's all my fault. All right.
I really thought it was like, man, what am I doing wrong? I even went back and I backed it all the way out. Like after that, I think that last one I had up, and I was this close to dropping F-bombs, guys, as you can probably. I backed out and went and watched that video again, and it was like, man, I'm doing exactly what, and it's pretty simple, really. And I was doing exactly what you're supposed to do, and I still couldn't freaking get it to hook up. So
it was definitely frustrating, more so for you, but
yeah,
I'll take the brunt of the damage. It was my fault.
All right, so here we are, guys.
Yep.
Finally got going here. I'm so happy that you're doing it with me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate you reaching out. Thanks for the opportunity, man. It's just it's like we were saying earlier, it's good to see the community of air gunners getting together, because probably when we both first started out, there wasn't really much of a community. It was just a couple people posting videos of them shooting stuff, and I mean, over the years, it's grown into an actual community of people that enjoy doing the same stuff. So this is a fantastic opportunity, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, like I say, I appreciate you coming on to do it. We got Cyclops shows watching us, so be on your best behavior there. Actually, your worst behavior. I think we'd probably enjoy that. Thanks for coming over, Joe. I appreciate that.
What's up, G-Man? How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier. We talked for about a half an hour earlier, and we went over a lot of stuff really quickly.
We covered everything.
Save it. But so the whole reason I started this Airgun Radio was to be able to kind of cater to us guys that we're not out here working with a ton of capital. We don't have the new FX Panthera. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And I think there's a big community of us guys. And like I've said, and I'll say again, any level is welcome on the show. I don't care how big of an air gunner you are. If you want to come on here and talk about air guns, I'm fine with that. But just know if you're talking to me about the new FX Panthera, it's going to be like Charlie Brown's teacher talking because I don't know anything about it. So,
Yeah.
And I do love all those other airgun podcasts. They're out there and shows. I like listening to them and stuff, but this faction I feel is kind of neglected. And so here I am attempting to do that, and I can do it with having guests like you on because people know.
Yep.
People, you and I, like you said earlier, I think we have a lot of the same folks are watching our videos and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the average Joe out there enjoys this stuff too, but the average Joe can't afford thousands and thousands of dollars of air gun equipment. And I mean, for most of us, we probably got into air gunning because you could no longer afford to shoot powder burning rifles. I started out 22 long rifle. I've been shooting 22 long rifles since I was a kid. And I mean, there was a few years ago where you couldn't even get ammo, and now you can get it, but it's not the 5 cents, 10 cents a round that it used to be.
Not the good old days, for sure.
No, but you can still at least do that with air guns, and I think that's what makes the sport worthwhile. Is the average Joe can do some shooting and have a lot of fun, and put food on the table if that's the case, with a few $100s, and you don't have to be spending breaking the bank.
So I guess just wanted to address some of the comments here.
Yeah, they're ripping by pretty fast.
We got G-Man and Travis are giving us the hairy eyeball because they said they both got Pantheras now and they don't got time for punks. Beat it.
Yeah, he already left. Darn it.
Yeah. No, and I, for me, I'm married. I'm a working guy. I've got 2 kids. They're teenage boys, and one's 12, one's 14. Yep. And life's a busy thing, and it costs a lot of money to raise kids these days and to eat.
Yeah.
And so I've said it in one of the other recorded shows that I did. How I got into it was I was trying to get my son. And hey, Corey, Cornfields and Crosshairs here. Trying to find something to do with my youngest son, so I went and bought him a 880 at Walmart, and we started dicking around with it. And then I was like, "This is pretty cool." I went and bought myself an F4, and then YouTube's around, and I start watching YouTube videos, and it's just been it's just taken over my life pretty much. You know what I mean?
It's a rabbit hole of information, to say the least. Yeah,
and it's great, and I love it. And like you said, shooting is way cheaper, and you can for not a heck of a lot of money, you get a pretty nice gun, pretty nice shoot gun. I shoot better and air gunning has made me a better shooter, period.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And the thing, so it's really helped me out a lot there.
Yep, Springers. I was shooting a Springer yesterday. A buddy of mine just bought one. He sent me a text. He's like, "Yeah, I picked up a Springer. Wanted to sight it in. Want to know if you want to come over and plink or whatever." And I mean, $160 or something, I think is what he said it was. It was relatively inexpensive, but it was great. I mean, it's super easy. You ain't got to sit there and pump it for 20 minutes. I mean, just cock it, load it, shoot it. You can shoot all day, pennies on the dollar. So totally worth it.
That is nice. I do sometimes take the Springer, like really my favorite hunting Springer is my Benjamin Prowler 22. It's a nitro gun, ram gun. Yep. But that was actually the third air gun that I bought, and that thing's killed a lot of critters. I've shot quite a few squirrels with that thing. It's accurate, and that is one of the beautiful things about it. You get a pocket full of pellets. You just go. You're not worried about how much PSI you got left and all that kind of stuff. I love my PCPs. Don't get me wrong. I love them.
Yep.
But the simplicity of it's really nice to just go out and go shoot and get worried about it.
I agree.
But then my PCPs, most of them, are really accurate. Even the cheap PCPs
Yeah.
can be super accurate guns.
The low recoil makes a huge difference, especially for a shooter that is new to the shooting aspect. When you're not really, I mean, you can grab a spring gun or a 10 pump or something like that. First couple shots out of it are not going to be your most accurate shots. You know, you're not used to the gun, you haven't used it a lot. You grab a PCP, you can grab it, and your first couple shots are probably going to be as accurate as most of your shots, because it really eliminates a lot of the variables, you know, the hold, everything about them, and low recoil. It really is. It caters to a newer shooter if you want it. But obviously, you start talking about money, you can't just pick up $100 PCP, get out and start killing stuff, you know. So it's a give and take, and unfortunately, finding those entry level PCPs that are good for the beginner shooter it's not easy. And I got some questions I wrote down for you, but not just for you, but also for the community, because I'm hoping that some people on here, I know there's some people that I was hoping would be here, and it looks like they're here. They've also got experience air gunning and stuff, and so everybody's input is very much appreciated, because it doesn't matter if you're a teenage kid that sees this video 10 years from now, or if you're an 85-year-old dude that just likes shooting beer cans off your back porch. If one thing we say can assist one person, it was totally worth it. So if you're ready, I'm gonna hit you with the first question. It's up to you, though. All right, here we go. I prepared a list of questions.
Oh, I can't see it. I got comments up in the way here. Hold on.
Okay. First question. How old were you when you got your first air gun?
I was probably, I want to say 9 or 10 years old. A little old.
Exactly same with me. Yep.
Marksman pistol. One of them spring ones. It was hell for me to cock that thing when I was a kid.
Yep.
But I always
pull it back and push it forward.
Pull it back, click it, and I think the front of it like tipped up, and you stuffed in a BB or a pellet or something in it. Yeah, that was my favorite.
All right. Okay. That's good. That's good. And anybody else, feel free to type it in the comments, because I'm assuming people are going to see this, and they may even actually flip through the comments and get their own get their own answers. But I'm hoping to kind of touch around the idea of the beginner, like you said, the beginner air gunner, or the air gunner that just can't afford $1,000 air gun. Okay. Next question. That's a good one. Which budget air gun surprised you the most out of the ones that you've purchased over the years?
Oh, let's see.
It's a tough one.
I'm trying to think of something I just pulled out of the box and was like, wow. I guess my I had to do some stuff for that gun. The little gun I was using today, my Crawl NPO3 in 177. When I got that gun, as a lot of you guys know, I'm a big refurb and guy, and I like to get cheaper and I can work on them and stuff like that. So I got that gun, I ordered it from Pyramid Air, got it for $219 plus tax, and that thing got here, and you wouldn't believe I was giddy with how awesome that thing was right out of the box. Just absolutely stacking pellets, just amazing gun. It's really, really great. Problem with that gun is, here in the States, I just kind of got lucked out, and they had 2 of them. It was right after Christmas. I don't know if somebody returned them or what, but they had 2 of them, and I got 1 of them. But you look on there now, you can't find them. I had it up on Facebook, and a guy commented about how he was like, "Where did you get that? Where did you find that? I've been looking for a year for one of those." And I was like, "I just
luck of the draw." Yeah. Excellent.
What about you?
I see actually a lot of comments. People are chiming in, and I appreciate that. Definitely, the first budget air gun that I really enjoyed was my Crossman M4 177. It's a 10 pump that looks like an M4. I still have it. I mean, it's old, and I've put a crap ton of rounds out of it. But for a 10 pump, I really like the fact that it came with these little 5-shot strip magazines. Yep. and you could just load up the shots. And you probably got one, don't you?
Yeah. I got a bag full of them around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I told you today. I told you today. I was like, you know what? Everything you're saying sounds a lot like me. And now here we are again. We're running down the same road. But that was the first cheap air rifle that I purchased. And to me, I mean, I was able to hit beer cans at 70 yards. And that's, I mean, for a 10 pump, obviously a beer can isn't tiny, but to repeatedly find a pellet that you can shoot with a 10 pump at that distance it's not easy. Yeah. But for me, that was the first one that just kind of, I was surprised. I was really blown away. I loved it. I mean, I got buff in one side, you know, my left.
Right, like
Man
in the water,
but yeah, it's and that's, I think there's going to be, I'm hoping that people see this video and they think, yeah, maybe I'll check some of these out. And unfortunately, I don't have any videos on mine, but if you guys are interested in a cheap air gun, I mean, look at either one of these, because it takes a little bit to impress me. And that was the first gun where it was like, you didn't have to fiddle with loading the pellets in, and you could fit a scope on there. And it wasn't like, it was just easy with the little strip magazines, man. They were thinking outside the box on that one.
Yeah. And I have two of them right now. One of them I converted over to HPA, and then the other one is just stock. It's one I bought one in a pawn shop, and I actually, after my son wanted one, I was like, well, I'm gonna chop this one up, so let me go get him one. I didn't really save much money on buying this used one at a pawn shop. I learned my lesson about buying pawn shop air rifles with that gun. Now, you really gotta watch, you know, you gotta look it up, kid. Look it up, kid.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so yeah, I've still got two of them. And they're great, man. Like I said, it's got the little stripper.
Yep.
And they're fun to shoot, and they're pretty cool looking little gun. You can actually.
They look cool. It looks like you're running around with an M4. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah. You can dress them out, and they look pretty sweet. So.
Yeah. I would agree with you, Neil. G-Man, absolutely. I think it's a great gun for the price, and if you're looking to get into the sport, you don't want to spend a bunch of money. If you don't mind pumping up a 10 pump, I mean, it's got plenty of power. You can kill squirrels and stuff with it if that's what you want to do. But just plinking around, man. And mine wasn't pellet picky at all. It would shoot just one thing, but it honestly shot inexpensive Winchester round nose pellets that I used to be able to get from Tractor Supply, which is like a half mile down the road. So I could walk and go get pellets, you know, and they were cheap. I was 500 for $5. So it was, I mean, penny a piece, whatever. So you could shoot it all day. But
yeah.
Okay, I only have a few more questions, so I'm going to jump to the next one, and then we'll get to BS. But all right, here we go. What entry-level PCP would you recommend to a new shooter?
I would probably get
in the butt stock. I'll have to check that out, Cornfields. That looks like that sounds good. It's tough because when you start talking PCPs, you're instantly raising the bar when it comes to funds. You can't. It's tough to find anything at $100. You're going to spend at least $200, and I think you're probably going to spend a little bit more than that.
You know what? Just what G-Man said. I'm sitting here racking my brain. The Umarex Origin.
Yeah.
I've never everything I've seen about them. I passed up on a couple of them on eBay. They have some on there, right? Refurbs for like a little over $200 right now in 20.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And God, excuse me, guys. Hey, that sucks. I'm sorry. But that Origin, and if you don't know anything about that Umarex Origin, a good video to go watch Hajimoto's video on it. He praises, and he's one of the guys on YouTube that if he says he's good, he's good.
Yeah, absolutely. One. Yeah, Hajimoto's he's got excellent content. He's constantly putting out videos on different modifications and things that make air guns better. They don't just make it look cooler; they actually make them better. And he's a wealth of knowledge. I like Haji. He's a good guy.
Yep, he is. And part of me buying my first PCP was a 25 caliber Gen 1 gauntlet. And one of the reasons why I bought it was watching, because I was doing like I always do. We were talking earlier about how I just go down these rabbit holes on these guns that I'm buying and we're working on it, whatever. And I saw his stuff, and he had a lot of good, and it was all like internal things to do to the gun to make it better. The 2 stages trigger mod, ventilating the shroud, putting different baffles in, a different air stripper, all these little things that turn it into a really, really accurate shooting gun. And even how to, with the regulators on those that are on the bottles, I learned how to adjust regulator pressures from watching. He's got a video about how to do that. How to put in the Belleville, not the Belleville washers, but the shims to adjust your reg pressure, and how to test it, build the thing, test your pressures with, and all that stuff. So I really like how he approaches things, and he's not just talking about high end guns. He's got them side levers that are, I don't know if they're available yet for the gauntlets.
Yeah, did you see? I saw that video and I was like, man, this guy, he's thinking.
Yeah,
because
that's the touch that gun has needed, because the cocking and things is, my 22 is not bad. The 25 is a nightmare. But that's probably why it was a refurbished, and that's probably why there was something a little off with it. But
yeah.
But anyway, so I think the Origin is a good jumping off point. I got to be, well, I'm not gonna say Umarex. I'm just gonna leave it at that. On other, but the Origin is a really, really good gun.
Excellent.
Thank you, G-Man, because I was sitting here going, man, all these different ones are flying through my head. Which, how about, what would you recommend?
Well, my experience with PCPs is fairly limited. I mean, I've seen a lot of videos that look really nice, but until you get your hands on one, you start playing with it. But I mean, I will always recommend the Benjamin Discovery, just because for me, that was the first air rifle air gun that I bought was an FX Independence Elite 25 caliber. So I went right off the deep end, but my disability had just gone through and I had money. So I was like, hey, I'm getting something nice. And I love it. It's a great gun. I need to send it in. The seals need to be replaced on it. I tried to look at it, but once I started getting into the internals, it was well beyond me and my tools, But I picked up a Discovery for cheap because it wasn't super expensive, and then I ended up getting the TKO suppressor for it because it's loud and it sounds like a spud gun going off. But for 30 yards, maybe a little bit further, it was the accuracy I was looking for, the repeatability. I mean, the bolts on them aren't great. They're not excellent guns, but I mean, if somebody wants to get into the sport and they don't want to spend $1 million, that would be the one that I would suggest, But I agree with you on the Origin. That does look like an excellent little gun.
Yeah, and it's side lever, shot count's really high, and they're accurate.
Yeah, and it's tough to beat that.
Yeah, and they do have the package deal. I think G-Man said for like I don't know if that's with the pump or not, but like 270 or something like that. So, and I think it's a pretty reliable.
And I mean, you've got at that stage, you've got your foot in the door and you're shooting. You're not just I've got a gun and I'm doing okay. You can hold your own. You can shoot whatever you need to. So, I'm a disco fan now.
Yeah, I actually my disco just went out the door here day before. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday morning.
Yeah.
I actually sent it to. There's a guy out in Colorado. He has something to do with pellets or something. I don't even know. His name's Joe or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, he's got it. So, or it's going to him now. He sent me a Maximus a long time ago when I first got into air gunning, and I still have that gun. And I found that Discovery in a pawn shop. It had been. I've looked at this gun for like 2 years, and it was just sitting in their case. And the guy that kind of handled that stuff for him had it priced too high. And I ended up becoming friends with the guy that runs that pawn shop. And I got talking, and I offered him, what it's worth, and he sold it to me. And I love those guns, and they're super, super accurate. But my problem is these big sausage fingers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Loading that gun was a nightmare for me.
If it's got a drawback, it's the pellet loading system. Obviously, you're right. I mean,
yeah.
sausage
I always
fingers.
wanted to do a multi-shot breech on them, but they cost more than the guns were to do a decent one for it. So
yeah.
So anyway, but I wanted that one so bad because it was the thing looked brand new. I mean, there was no nicks in the stock. That everything, all the bluing, everything on it was perfect. And so, like I said, I ended up getting it, and then Joe wants it for his, I think sure for himself to an extent, but for his grandkids to shoot and stuff like that. So
yep.
So I fired it up, but yeah, they are great guns, great platform. I love Benjamin. I love my Benjamin rifle guns. My Armada in 25 was my second DCP, and I finally got my hands on a Marauder in wood here. I don't know, a month and a half ago, something like that. Which that's always been a goal. I know some guys consider the Marauder to be an entry level PCP, but in my opinion, it is definitely a step above entry level.
I would agree.
I think the craftsmanship and the quality of it is just a little better. I know they're not super high end guns by any means, but for me, it was just a gun that was like, it's iconic to me. That gun's iconic. It's like a part of American airgun history, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And they're beautiful and they shoot awesome. And they're just great. I've just always wanted one. I feel like I've got like a piece of history now. You know what I mean? Even though the gun's only like a year and a half old, that particular.
Ooh, a 3D printed 5-shot stripper system for the Disco. Ooh, I've seen a few different mods for the Discovery, especially people put like little bolts and stuff in the end where the air bleeder, I guess, the very back of the breech, and you can adjust your power. Obviously, you're going to lose shot count, but you can crank down the hammer spring and stuff like that, and really push the Discovery to a pretty extreme velocity. I want to say they were getting like 1,000 feet per second out of heavier pellets. Like it was really sending them down range, but obviously it's not a giant air tube on them, and they're not completely refined a system to the point where you're gonna get 40 shots out of it. You probably get 8 or 10 or whatever. But if you really needed to get something with some power, having an adjustable power system that was as easy as a screw out the back, I mean, entry level, if you're just trying to get your foot in the door, it'll definitely get the job done for sure.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, 2 more questions. Okay, what is one tip you would give to a new shooter that is discouraged by the lack of accuracy of their air gun? So somebody who just bought a gun, they're out plinking, and it's not hitting squat, and they can't get it to hit squat. What is one thing you would tell them to do to put them down the right direction?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind for me is pellets.
That's my answer as well. So now I got to think of something else.
Because this is something I've talked about this before too. Like when I first got into this, and I'm watching more videos and stuff, these guys start talking about, Travis, clean the barrel. The guys started talking about pellets and trying different pellets and stuff like that. And I grew up, and I've talked about this with Corey McCann, Cornfields and Crosshairs, about how I kind of grew up with you just shove a bullet in the thing and shoot it. We're talking about different pellets. Who cares? It's a pellet gun. Who gives a crap? Just stuff something in it. Well, then when you start getting actually wanting to get accuracy and things like that, and and just like you commented about your friend with that gun and those daisy pellets, and then it's just wild how you'll have a pellet that you think is just these things aren't good for anything, and also
absolute garbage.
Like shooting groups like this at 30 yards, and it's like, what is that about?
Yep, absolutely.
So that would be the jumping off point for me.
I agree. And I also agree with whoever there said to clean the barrel too. Yep, because you see it time and time again. Somebody gets a brand new gun, and you don't. I mean, you just assume the barrel's clean. It's brand new. It's from the factory or whatever. But whether they test them or whether it's just dust from sitting around, the barrels get dirty. And I've had people on my videos comment and say, you shouldn't clean your air gun barrel because the lead builds up over time slowly, and it doesn't foul the barrel, but it actually makes it. And they tried to explain to me how it made it more accurate. And I can see where in some cases that could be, But if you cannot get repeatable accuracy and you run a patch down your barrel and the patch comes out blacker than Toby's ass, you need to clean your barrel. You need to give the pellet the best possible chance without any obstructions, without any deformation from going down and you need to give the pellet the best chance to do the job, because pellets are great. And like you said, you're going to find one or two that are really going to outperform the rest of them. But if that pellet has to fight through a half mile of sludge, you're not doing yourself or the gun any favors.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And that made me think of too with the pellet thing about how, you start, well, this pellet works for this gun, this one works for this gun. And we know the same gun off the same assembly line back to back could potentially like a different pellet.
Absolutely.
A lot of variables. And it's the same thing like when I started talking about, because it's something I've always did, shoot powder burns, is to keep the gun. And then you start seeing, don't ever, 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 ever clean that barrel.
Yeah.
Don't ever do it.
Yep.
Clean the barrel every single time you shoot. Well, let it build up over time. Well, the velocities aren't high enough to leave a bunch of lead behind like a powder burning rifle does. So it's actually taking out as much as it's leaving behind.
Yep.
And the next guy says, clean it every single time.
Yep.
And I think what it comes down to is just like with the pellets. Like you said, repeatable accuracy.
Yep.
If it doesn't shoot very good and you clean it and it shoots great, clean it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually of the mindset, when I get a new gun, I don't clean it immediately. I shoot it.
Me neither.
If I find a pellet that it shoots well with,
yep.
I don't mess with it.
Yep.
But if it's shooting like crap, then it's like, okay, let's clean it. But I know a lot of guys that that's first thing that they want to do is clean the barrel.
Yep.
And it's probably not a bad rule of thumb. But I just don't. I just like, because of all those variables, you hear all this different information from different sources. It's like, I'm just gonna shoot it. If it shoots good, I'm not gonna mess with it.
And just like you said, there's the people that say clean it every day, every time you shoot, and there's the people that say don't clean it. I like to shoot down the middle of the road. If you know that you have a pellet that your gun prefers and you can shoot accurately at 30 yards and consistently get quarter size groups, and all of a sudden your groups are no longer quarter size and you're starting to get strays and flyers out of the pellets that you know are the best, just clean the barrel. Reduce that variable right out of the equation. Don't even let the option of a dirty barrel affecting your shots. If you notice that the accuracy you can get, you can no longer get, the simplest thing to do just to get rid of any variables is just to clean the barrel. You could try a different tin of pellets, the same brand, a different tin. That works too. But not everybody buys 5 tins of ammo or from the same lot, so if you know that your gun is capable of this and you're getting this, just clean your barrel. And if that doesn't change it, then obviously jump to the next thing. But 9 times out of 10, that'll fix your issue.
Yeah. And, like I seen Corey commented a little bit ago about the triggers. That's kind of my next thing is if you got the barrel clean, your triggers. And that's another thing from coming from shooting powder burns. You just bang, just pull the trigger.
Just pull it,
the trigger. Make it go boom. And your trigger plays such a huge role in accuracy. I mean, such a huge. I'm not saying anything that most sees. Maybe there's somebody out there that there's only 7 people watching right now. Just thanks everybody. But maybe somebody down the road, and maybe somebody down the road will be watching it and saying, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So if there's anything you can find on YouTube about how to modify your trigger to make it better, and I guess I should throw the little disclaimer: you go messing with those things.
Yeah, be careful, obviously,
and be very careful because they're nothing that especially PCPs, you're dealing with high pressure.
Yeah.
Piston guns, you're dealing with a lot of power, a lot of it'll chop off your finger type of power. So, but triggers are such a huge deal in accuracy. And then running a pellet down your bore with just kind of you're trying to feel out your bore, try some different. If you're 177, for example, try some different ones. See if every one of them just pretty much falls right through or whatever. Maybe you got a bad barrel. Feel if there's a choke on the end, and I've been learning a lot of stuff. Again, I know I keep mentioning Corey over Cornfields and Crossovers. He's going to be doing the show, and him and I talk quite a bit. And I've been learning a lot from him. And the stuff that he's going to have coming up. I guess I'm doing a little plug here Corey's channel. He's got some pretty exciting stuff coming up, and it's going to be people are going to want to be, especially if you're into spring guns. You need to watch it. That's about all I. That's about really all that I know about it right now. So, but I know it's going to be great. So,
okay, last question. I think. Let me double check. Yeah. Okay. Do you feel, in your opinion, can you get a decent air gun from the big box stores? Can you go down to Meyer or Harbor Freight, or I mean, there's really not a lot of places around here that sell air guns anymore. But can you
let's just
get a
say
decent, reliable gun from the big box stores and not have to buy them from the internet?
yes.
I agree.
Walmart. We have Walmarts around here,
Yep.
and they don't carry. Right after I got into it, I started kind of going crazy and buying air guns, and I'm going to Walmart and they got all these prices that are they're like 80% off, and I'm like, what is going on? This is great. Maybe they do this every year. No,
Yeah.
they were getting away from
Getting rid
almost
of them.
all of it.
The last two pellet pistols that I bought, or BB pistols that I bought from Walmart because the prices were so cheap, and I was like, yeah, this is great. And then I went back in there to buy more because I loved them so much, and they were completely gone. They wiped them right off the shelf.
Yeah, they're wiped out. There was a guy locally here that because then I'm always looking around Craigslist. He had this ad, and he had like a list like this long of rifles and pistols, and I got a hold. And I probably bought 10 guns from him. I got to and he said, yeah, I just went around and bought out. I went to every Walmart and just bought everything. And he said I got it all in his basement. He had to just stacked guns everywhere. But yes, you can go to like a Walmart, for example.
Dunham's and yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You got a couple of pumper options. You got your 880s, your Legacy 1000, F4s. They have some Rugers, like Airhawks or whatever they are, and those are all decent guns. The Prowler, I guess I haven't seen a Prowler in any of my local Walmarts recently, but yeah, there are good guns in there, and like with the Crosmans, that's kind of where I started off with. I have a soft spot for Benjamin Crosman, and that's where I started off. And one of the first things I learned was the trigger. It's a real simple trigger mod that you can do that gun because they have horrendous triggers when you buy them, and then it's a really satisfying thing when you get a gun like that and you do something real simple to it like that, and you learn the hold that it likes, and then pretty soon you're at 20 yards, you're not really doing very well, and all of a sudden it's tight up. It tightens up, and it's like, man, that's what really got me on shooting was shooting groups. Accuracy. It just is. You wouldn't believe how happy it makes me. And I know a lot of guys that are watching are going, yeah, that's what it's about. But I mean, it really makes me extremely happy to see it. It really, really does.
G-Man, I did see your comment a second ago about the Oh Shoot Airgun channel, and I wrote it down so that I can go back and check it out. I am not familiar with that channel, but I'm always up to checking out more information because the airgun community is growing rapidly and tenfold. And if we just stick to the same three people that we watch, we're not really doing ourselves or anybody that watches our channel and learns things from us any favors. So I appreciate shouting that out. And there was another question earlier too that somebody had mentioned, another a different channel, and I think it was Cornfields had mentioned. So I'll come back through the comments later.
I'm trying to. It's hard to keep up with what's going on there, but
yeah, I know it's actually going pretty fast. And you know what? That's what I wanted, though. I really wanted to engage the community because you and I can talk and ask questions and stuff like that. But we're just two people with, honestly, we're very similar tastes because a lot of the same things you're thinking, I'm thinking as well. So it's not doing me any good to talk to you.
Right. Well, screw you. We're out of here.
yeah. That's it, folks. But yeah, so seeing the comments, it's super encouraging because it's opening up the access to information for anybody, not just for me or you, but anybody else that decides that they want to watch us. And that's what we're going. That's exactly what I was hoping for when I jotted down these not real questions.
And that's and that's what I mean, I love talking air guns. I'll talk air guns with whoever,
Yep.
but it's just, I don't know what it is about the whole community and everything. It's just what I do. I think about it a lot,
Yep.
maybe more than I probably should.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I'm wired.
Yeah.
So, like Corey and I we'll get on the phone together and we'll talk for 3.5, 4 hours. Seriously, it's like
Pack a
it goes
lunch,
by
yeah.
so fast. You know what I mean? It's nuts, dude. So, but but yeah. So, did we already talk about your first air gun? What got
Yes.
you into it?
Yeah,
All right.
actually, all the things I think I'm pretty sure we hit.
Let's see.
If there's now that I'm kind of paying more attention to the chat, if there's any questions that the chat has,
Yeah, let me look.
plug
I got to look at my computer because I wear glasses, but I don't like wearing them during my videos or anything because
yeah.
I don't know, I haven't mastered them yet on the glare and shit. So sorry about my language, guys. Uh, so I'm looking at my laptop. Let's see.
Yeah, if you're in the area, G-Man, just let me know. We'll meet up.
Yeah, I know.
Shoot
G-Man
some
said
guns.
something about Lou. Lou just got home and can't make it. He was out. I'm hoping he didn't sustain any injuries this weekend. That's he was out skiing. So
Oh,
I think for the first time he told me we were messaging on the other day and he was going out doing something. Let's see.
I'm just gonna grab a beverage in the window here because it's freezing cold outside, so it's
Okay. All right.
doubles as a refrigerator. So give me 1
Right.
second.
Dang right. Dang right. Let me go back, guys. I'm kind of looking at back up here a little bit. Now this is okay. Corey did say something about when we were talking about cleaning barrels and clean the barrel and let the accurate pellet let up the barrel for that particular round diameter. Did you catch any of that?
I did. Yes, I didn't. Not in the chat, but now yes.
So what he'll do when he's trying different pellets is he'll clean the bore in between them, and then when he finds a bore that's good, he'll let that. Because I was talking about how like I have a Hotson BT65 and I'm still having accuracy problems with that. And I found on all places Mercari, I found a guy that had a full box of Benjamin 25 caliber 27.8s, and they were in blister packs. It was a whole case of them. I
Okay.
bought the whole case for like $100, and I was like, I'm just going to sit down and just lead that barrel in. I'm just going to shoot it, and then I'm talking to him, and he's talking about how he does that, and he'll shoot pellets, and then he'll clean it, and then he'll let in with a pellet that the gun likes, and that you need to use that pellet.
Yep.
I mean, all right, I guess I'll just shoot whatever through it. JSBs. To be quite honest with you, that BT65, I haven't really found anything that it absolutely loves. I'm not sure. I got a new barrel. Hodson sent me a new barrel for it. I got some other things that Hodson sent me that I put in it, and it's definitely improved a ton. But I just think it's a matter of getting the power set where it needs to be.
Yep.
The last time I did any adjusting, I turned it all the way up and took it out.
Yeah.
I was shooting 30, 34 green, 25s through it. And it's still, even with the super heavy ones, it wasn't shooting well. 25s, it does pretty good at 30, but you go to 50 and it's like that gun is a 100-yard gun easy.
Yep. Yeah.
Just a matter of getting it figured out. I'll get working on something and then I get frustrated and then I just put it in the rack and it just sits there for a while. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna move on to that different. So I got lots of other stuff.
Yeah. And to touch on that point a little bit, my Marauder, I used it for like 2 years, and then the Armada came out, and I was instantly hooked because I watched Airgun Web TV, Rick Utzler's video on it, and I'll never forget his quotations, but he called it boringly accurate. And I
Yes.
was like,
Yep. I remember that. I've seen that
how
video
could you
more than once.
consider it boring? That's what we're going for, So I was like, I need to pick this up. And I bought an Armada and set the Marauder off to the side. And then it was just, 3, 4, 5 years straight of nothing but shooting my Armada because it was boringly accurate. It's a really accurate gun. Well, my Marauder sat off to the side, and then it developed a leak. And at first, I was just like, it needs to be, the seals need to be replaced. So this winter, when I was beginning of the winter, I was bored, can't get out and shoot. So I decided I'm going to take a look at this Marauder, and I bought a seal kit for it. Actually, I bought 3 seal kits so that I could redo the seals on the Armada and have a spare set, and
Gotcha.
or O-ring kit, I should say. And I went to take it apart and look at it. And as I was, put some air in it, see if I could diagnose exactly where the leaks were coming from. That's when I realized that the leak was coming from the pressure gauge, and I searched the internet and found a wealth of information where people would say that over time, the pressure gauge is just the soldering lets go on them and they go to shit. And you can buy new ones, but they've got newer ones on the guns now. So you have to figure out which year gun yours is, because you can't put the new one on. You have to put the old one, or they're also have to buy an adapter. And it was like this whole big thing. And I was fortunate. Yeah, she can hear the cat. I was fortunate enough to find somebody that had a few of the older style, without needing an adapter, pressure gauges that were good. And so I bought 2 of them, put it on, replaced it, and it fixed it. It stopped leaking. So I was like, oh shit, I'm back to 2 air guns again. I'm doing good. Right. I spent an entire day while I was after I rebuilt it, running cranked all the way out with, I had made the adjustments and just pushing at my 18-13 pellets at just over 1,000 feet per second. And I just kept backing the power down. And it was surprising that even though I was using pellets that I know are accurate, different speeds, I was getting way big different groups,
Yeah.
So if you just run pellets through it and you don't really dink around with your gun, you might find that you're going to have a lot of issues. It wasn't until I brought that power down to right around 750 to 825 feet per second on the 813s that I started getting the really good accuracy that I knew I was getting before. And it was just a matter of, the pellet is the same, the barrel's already clean. It was just pushing them pellets way too hot, And I mean, some pellets like going hot, some pellets don't. But there's so much more to fine tuning and squeezing every ounce of accuracy out of your gun than just throwing a pellet in there, or, cranking your stuff wide open and sending it as fast as you can. You really got to dink around with it.
And that's why I haven't just thrown my hands up with that BT65. It's like, well, it's junk. Hotsons are garbage. They all suck and whatever. I'm just getting rid of it. Well, it's so what I was telling Joe about this the other day, because to adjust the power on the gun, there's 3 screws that got to come out of the stock. And then there's also a set screw in the on the hammer that you got to take out, and then you can start adjusting that up and down. So what I'm going to do is, I guess I haven't looked to see if I can actually pull it off, but I'm going to drill a hole through the back of the stock where that would go in, where I get my Allen wrench in there and adjust the hammer spring tension.
They're fine, man. They're fine.
Hello. Well, there's the start.
The cats are hanging out. Yeah, there's a couple of them in here with me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. She's like, "Who the hell are you talking to? What are you doing down there by yourself?" Come on.
Anyway, so I'm just gonna. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Is I'm gonna go out where I can adjust it, where I don't have to completely disassemble the friggin' gun, and I can just start walking it back until I find, take a few different pellets with me and just figure out which one's going to be accurate at what speed. That's where the gun's going to be.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, good times. You know what the best part about this entire evening is? It started off with a hair-raising adventure. I mean, we were really struggling. My fault again, to all the people that are here. It was my fault, 100%. But we got it. We completely figured it out, and we're making it happen. So this is awesome.
Melmac 130's comment there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're sitting on the other side of the camera, just looking at like, who in the fuck are you talking to?
I
They
love
can't
it.
figure it out. They got questions.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of the Hotsons, it made me think of my AT-44, which was a refurb, and when I mean, I haven't done anything to that gun, and it shoots. It's insane how accurate that gun is. 25
Yeah,
caliber. It's really really awesome. But again, like you said, I mean, and that's the other thing I learned about air guns is you can't just throw in the towel with the first 10 pellets
no, yep.
and whatever gun it is. You know what I mean? You gotta
You're gonna get
because
frustrated. Yep.
you see videos where guys are like, "This thing is great," and maybe there is something. Maybe your barrel, uh, the bore in your barrel's all jacked up, or
Yep. Yep.
something. Your piston
Yep.
seal's bad, and it's giving you erratic beat per second. Who
Yep.
knows? But you can't just give up on them. I'll show you. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to show you
Oh,
an
yeah.
example of not giving up. I love that.
On behalf of Big J, there, I just want to thank everybody for joining us. This is great. This is out of my comfort zone. I'm not big on. I mean, I'll post a video, but I'm not big on getting into live streams. But
Yeah,
this is a great.
good
I
time.
appreciate it. Thank you very much for inviting me, man.
And the shows I did, well, I've only done one with Lou and one with Joe.
Yep.
And they're fun. I mean, we have a good time doing it, and the lives are great too because people are right here. And I know people have asked me about when are you actually going to do a live one so we can
Yeah.
be on there giving you a hard time about it. So thank you for doing it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So some of you guys know I do repair videos, and I have a repair video on the Seneca Aspen on fixing the pump. So I got tired of fixing the pump on the thing. That's why you haven't really seen anything about the gun for a long time. And this is what it looks like right now. So if you're familiar with what these guns actually look like, and they're super ugly. I mean, they really are with that big pump handle and all that crap on them. But here's the thing about this gun is when it's got air in it and it's shooting, they are stupid accurate and they're
Yeah.
powerful and they're just awesome. It's an awesome, awesome gun. And I'm like, I just can't give up on it. I actually did mod and have a bottle, the bottle that I had hanging off of it. But it was pretty, didn't look very nice. It was pretty ugly. And then it ended up developing a leak. So I actually just took it all apart the other day. And I've determined that this thread, there's probably going to be a video on this, but I figured out what this weird funky thread is. And then I found an adapter that will go into that to a 3/8 NPT. Then I found an adapter that will go from 3/8 NPT to M18 1.5, which is the size of the thread on Amazon. You can get a 200cc 4500 psi tube that comes with a fill probe and all that stuff, and that's the size of the thread in there. I'm like, okay, and that's a little over $100 for those parts. So when I get the money here, hopefully next week I'll order those parts and then have this gun. But it's just like I said, it's just an example of not giving up,
Not
man.
giving up.
I
Yep.
just couldn't just throw up my hands and throw it out because
Yeah.
it
Can't throw it to the
shoots
side.
too good, dude. So uh yeah, let's see. Yeah, G-Man's got two of them. It looks just like that or worse. I'm hoping the new Avenge part will fit. Avenge X part will fit. Yeah. I wonder about the Avenger tube, if it'll if it would screw in there or not. I don't. But anyway, so don't give up, guys. Don't give up.
Yep. Yeah. We all face the turmoil, and there's a lot of head scratching. I got a Hotson 125 sniper. It was the first break barrel gun. Well, in reality, it was the first air rifle that would break the sound barrier to sound like a 22. I mean, and I was shooting. I didn't have to buy the shitty alloy pellets. You could send the Crossman 14.3 grain Crossman Premier hollow points through that thing, and absolutely it would break the barrier. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to shoot it quietly, you had to shoot heavier pellets because 14 threes,
Yeah.
it sounded like you're shooting a 22 in the backyard. And I'll tell you what, It didn't matter where you were aiming it. When you put it there and squeeze the trigger, that pellet was there now. There was
Yeah.
no delay. There was no flight time. It was you squeeze the trigger and you're hitting your target. So that was the first. It really opened my eyes to the power of brake barrels, because you think of a brake barrel, how much power can you get out of a spring and how much are you going to be able to cock it? And it is a bear to cock, but it absolutely sent pellets at ridiculous speeds. And unfortunately, the seals went on it, because now when you shoot it, I'm getting a very large puff of air, hi Donald, back in my face.
Really?
And so I know it needs new O-rings. It needs a little bit of love. It's not dead by any means. And one of these days I'm going to order the parts and I'm going to take it apart and I'm going to fix it and I'm going to put it right back to work. But it was the first gun that really surprised me. Like, holy crap, man, you're zinging pellets now.
Yeah.
You can shoot what you need to, great gun, accurate. I mean, the triggers on them, it wasn't great. It's a stiff trigger, but predictable. And that's even like the yesterday when I hooked up with my buddy and I went over his house. He bought a Crossman Fire brake barrel, nitro piston. Not super expensive, not super powerful, but a good solid brake barrel. The stock wasn't plasticky and hollow. I mean, it's a nice gun. And it took some dinking around to find some pellets that would work. But the first thing that surprised me was the trigger on it, because though it was incredibly light for a brake barrel, it had a crap load of sponge. Like, it was super spongy, and I was surprised at how much sponge it had, but it was predictable. You could soak up 3/4 of that sponge, wait till you were where you wanted to be, and then just give it that tiny little click, and it wasn't difficult to squeeze off at all. It was a very easy. As a matter of fact, I want to put my Lyman trigger pull gauge on there and see exactly what the trigger is. Yeah. I bet you it's less than 2 pounds. It's actually a really nice trigger. It's got a crap load of creep in it, and it is adjustable. It's got a 2-stage adjustable. I think it's 2-stage. It's adjustable at the least, but I'm pretty sure the box says 2-stage adjustable. Like I said, there was a whole lot of first stage creep in it, but it was super predictable. And you're not going to find, the Marauder triggers and the Armada triggers, they're really good. I think they're really good, especially when you compare them to a lot of other budget and lower end PCPs or air rifles for that matter. They're actually really good. And you can't expect to have that good of a trigger in every air gun that you pick up. So you find an air rifle that has a trigger in it that isn't exactly what you're used to. At first, that was a little off-putting, but right off the bat, it was like, you could predict when it was going to snap, and you could pull it all the way back to just before it was going to snap, hold, wait for your hold to be good, and then just touch it the slightest bit, and it would go off. And I think that's one of the big things that you touched on earlier that I can absolutely agree with is the trigger work. If you can refine your trigger or get used to your trigger or whatever you need to do, that will help you immensely with your accuracies. The trigger makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah. And, just like Travis there from O'Shoot said about the RC bearings just up there.
Yeah.
With those Crossman triggers makes a huge difference. I think one of the things, even without doing anything to them, like you said, there's a lot of creep and all that stuff, but it's predictable.
Yep.
And if you can get used to your gun and get used to your trigger,
yep.
If it's predictable, if you haven't ever experienced a gun with a very unpredictable trigger,
yep,
or a lot of grunt, a lot of
yep,
yeah. So you can appreciate it if it's predictable. It doesn't have to be a feather light trigger. You know what I mean? It just has to. You have to know when you're pulling. You just need to know where it's going to pop.
Information. Yep.
So, I've got a Norica Dragon that I saw Noricas around and stuff like that, and I thought I just kind of want to check one out on their website. It's just a regular Dragon spring gun, and I got it off eBay and never really did much with it. And then here, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, I finally I've had the thing for over a year and shot maybe 5 pellets through it. The reason why I didn't shoot hardly anything through it was because I cracked her open, put a pellet in it, and squeezed, and the trigger.
Oh shoot! It's like gambling.
Hands down. What do you say? What?
He was talking about a trigger, and he said that he's got a trigger that goes off from
Yeah,
ounces to 5 pounds, so it's kind of
yeah,
like gambling.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He's getting
it's
cinched up when
scary.
you see
Yeah,
that one.
yeah,
Yeah, I've got three V3s. I know what he's talking about.
yeah,
But uh, the trigger on that thing is just a nightmare. I mean, it was
yeah.
just. I mean, it was seriously like super heavy and like pop, and it was like, nope.
Yep.
So I did actually take it apart a while back and attempted a couple things on smoothing up the trigger, and I did get it a lot better. And when I did that, the gun is really an accurate shooting gun. It's a really great shooting gun, but the mod that I did to it is definitely it's pretty crude, and it definitely needs to be refined. The gun needs to be disassembled and all cleaned up. And I keep looking in that direction because I'm looking at it, sitting over in the corner,
Yeah.
just looking at it. I hate the gun. That's the one that I just hate to totally give up on because when I did get the
Yep.
trigger okay, it's super super accurate. It's a really good
Yep.
shooting gun. But anyway, let's see what we got here. Yeah, Travis, them B3 triggers, man. They'd be like you said, like 5 pounds, and then it just the
Have a fine evening, oh shoot. Yep, absolutely. Thanks for making it out for the live stream, man. This this has been a great time. I'm having a great time, and it's good because a lot of the things that I think and feel and in my opinion know about this are being confirmed with multiple other people, and it just tells me that the community we've experienced the same things. We've all been there, we've all done that, and if there's anything that anybody can gain from any of this is the fact that we're not just talking out our ass. Like these things happen.
yeah,
You're going to find a gun that you really want to work, and you're going to have issues and issues. And the biggest thing is just not to give up on it. You got to keep trying new things. The entry level, whether it be brake barrels or pumpers or even PCPs, when you start talking entry level, you may not always get the highest quality gun. You might get the high quality gun occasionally, but you aren't always going to get an FX gun every single time you buy a budget PCP or a budget pumper or a budget brake barrel. So you can't expect to have RMAC accuracies and all these other things with something that you're only spending a few $100s on.
yeah,
But you absolutely can get there, and you can get really close. You just need practice, and you need to basically refine the system for sure. Find what it likes. Do like I said, it's amazing to think that there's so many different mods for so many different guns out there because people are like, you know what, I think I can improve on this. And then they'll start tinkering around, and pretty soon, sure enough, not only did they improve on it, but they made it tenfold better than the factory had it.
yeah.
And you're gonna come across that a lot. And that's what the community is good for, is getting that
Yeah,
information. And I
getting that
mean,
information out there and learning how to extract as much as you can out of that gun.
oh, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
really, let's see. G-Man asked a question. He said, "Does anyone have a mod for the Winchester 1977 XS pumper trigger? It's like 6 to 7 pounds." Um, JC over at Airgun Detectives actually, I think it was the 1977, did a comparison and an 880. I think it was a 70. But he was commenting about how that trigger is super, super heavy. And he actually did take it apart. And he said just the nature of how it's set up, there really wasn't anything you could do with it. He was shot it really accurately. But I just saw that and made me think of that. And I could be totally wrong. But if you go over and check out JC's channel, he has like a head to head between an 880 and I think it was the 1970s. But but yeah, there's so much stuff out there on how to get and you were talking about like the super high end guns and things like that and like the competitive shooting, and I love accuracy and all that stuff, but I'm not really. I've got like the BT65. I want to be able to shoot a decent group at 100 yards with it, but really where I'm at in my shooting is I'm not really looking to shoot 200 300 yards. I guess I better get that together. Joe's inviting me out to shoot prairie dogs, but But that's not really my wheelhouse. Like 50 yards, if I can get good groups, that makes me super happy.
Yep.
I don't really I know you guys are killing big game and stuff with air guns, but I'm just kind of like, even like a 25 caliber, like even a souped up 25 caliber still doesn't have nearly as much energy as
Yeah. Take that. He said you can't go. He says
oh no.
your privileges have been revoked. Yeah.
Okay. This freaking guy almost dropped
Yeah,
the
He's like 300 yards or nothing. If you can't do 300 yards with your pumpkin,
yeah, don't even talk to me, bro. Don't even talk to me. Yes, what up, Lord? Corey says. Lord OLED. Well, I'm glad you can make it over, buddy. I know he was doing. I called him right before because I was like, I got to use my phone for this live. I put something up on Facebook about it, and he was like, basically being evil, like he was going to call during the show and cause a bunch of problems. Like, my phone's going to be on airplane mode, so you can't call.
Yeah.
I just don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. I'm not.
Just going straight to voicemail. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that there's going to be a fair amount of people, maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but over time, I think videos like this where you're absolutely right when we were speaking earlier today about budget friendly, entry level, beginner. There's a lot of people out there that really maybe we all shot powder burners. We got 22 long rifles and 17 HMRs that we really like and we're really good at and we have a wealth of knowledge at. But now we can't afford to do that. So what do you do if you want to continue shooting? Well, I can tell you what you can do. Pick up a budget air rifle. You might spend more on a gun than you would for a cheap $100 22 that you could shoot a real good group at 100 yards at. But when it comes to accuracy and ammo, you'll be able to get your hands on ammo and you'll be able to shoot all day for $8-10. And I don't think there's a gun out there that burns powder right now that you can shoot all day for $10. It's not going to happen.
Not happening. I agree 100%. I got to address the fact that we're over an hour.
Yes.
Do you want to keep going or do we want to shut it down?
I mean, I got a few more minutes. I'm having a great time. If you want to shut it down, that's great.
Let's keep going. I mean, I guess, I don't want Joe gets his feelings hurt pretty easy, and I don't want to stop the show.
Yeah.
Right here in the middle, like right when he shows up. Okay, we're done.
We can't cut the man off. Yeah.
I can hear that expletives that I'm going to be hearing from him the next time I talk.
Getting close there. I'm getting close. I've learned over the years, and it's usually when I'm shooting guns, and something about enjoying the time, enjoying what you're doing makes things that suck a little bit less, whether it be turning the music on when you got to do the dishes or, I'm out shoveling snow, but I'm jamming to Metallica, you figure out a way to get through it. So I'm definitely, this is a good time. I can't say it enough. Thank you very much for inviting me on here, man. This has been a great time. I absolutely enjoyed
it. Maybe I talked about this already. I know I talked to you on the phone about it earlier, but how I found your channel was you did that. I was getting my Armada and I found that video you had on it, and I've just always really, really enjoyed your videos. You're funny. You always make me laugh, and I've always been like, dude, I know if we just ever talk on the phone, we'd have a great time. I knew just watching videos like that. I know we could chop it up, man. It'd be a lot of fun, dude.
So, absolutely.
I appreciate you doing it. I really, really do. I mean, it's your videos. If you guys aren't, I guess I should have started with this. If you don't know who Diamondback is, go over and just look him up. Maybe I'll try to figure out after this how to put a link to his channel in it. Go check him out if you like to laugh and if you like to watch mice hunting, which I love. I know Joe loves it, and if you want to watch somebody shoot a mouse at 100 yards, this is your guy right here. So I just
well, I appreciate that. It's funny too because now I've had multiple people kind of tell me that they recognize me. They know me as the dude that shoots mice. Okay. And that's not really where I ever didn't start off that way or anything.
Right.
It
Okay.
evolved. It evolved into that. I've always loved air guns. I've always loved shooting stuff. When I was my very first air gun was actually the old Crossman, and can't even. It was like basically the Red Ryder, but it was the Crossman version, the handle single pump that if you shot a chipmunk at 10 yards 7 times in the head, you could kill it. It wasn't
Right.
like
Right.
you weren't going to win any. You were yeah most yeah. You know what? That sounds like a challenge that I would enjoy trying for sure. I got to find an IR that gets out that far. They're pretty blurry at 100 yards. It's kind of just shooting at eyeballs at that stage. But yeah, I started out shooting chipmunks for my uncle. He had chipmunks getting into his garage, and like I said, I was in probably might have been in middle school, but probably fifth grade. And my uncle was like, yeah, he knew I had a little BB gun, and I was shooting beer cans in the trees behind the house. He's like, if you come shoot chipmunks in my garage or around my garage, I'll give you $1 for each chipmunk you shoot. Well, it took about 2 weeks before I realized that when he's at work, I could shoot chipmunks anywhere I wanted and just bring them to him and say, I shot 7 chipmunks a year. It only took a few days before he's like, there's no way I got 17 chipmunks living in my garage. Okay. You're no longer getting paid unless I'm at home and you're shooting them while I'm at home. So that's humble beginnings. You start out just kind of, what a shyster, what a dick. I probably took $30 from him, whatever. But yeah, for me, that's how it was. It's just kind of plinking. And then over the years, people just know that I like air guns, and I got a few of them, and I like shooting stuff. And then I started shooting skunks at the township. I was working there at the time, and my boss was like, man, we got skunks tearing up our brand new soccer field. It's a $160,000 soccer field, and we got to repair it every day. Is there anything you can do? And I was like, I'll see if I can shoot them. So I rigged together a really crappy but effective night vision system for my gun, and I started shooting skunks. And then after I got like 20 of them, I was like, maybe I should pick up an ATN because I'd like to be able to see what I'm doing a little easier. And I mean, that's just pretty much how it started. And then once I had the night vision capabilities, it was, well, I got mice getting in the trailer, and at the time we had 7 cats, and it didn't make a difference. I'd still have 30 mice running around the yard and everything. So yep, it evolved into mice, and now it's pretty much my focus because my hunting dog Penelope, she passed a few years ago, 2 years ago, and she was a squirrel dog. Man, I every once in a while you come across a critter like that really knows what you're into, and she had squirrel hunting down to a T. Man, she would sit at the base of a tree and stare up at the tree at the squirrel for hours and hours and hours until I come out there and shoot it. And then as soon as I shoot it, she'd eat it, and she was happy and everything was great. But she'd sit out there all night just staring at the tree looking at squirrels. So it was squirrels and chipmunks, and then now it's mice, and it is what it is. I just like shooting guns, and not so much killing things, but that's part of the bag. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching the stuff about the skunks. I remember when that was going on. Or maybe it was retro watching for me. I think it was when it was going on.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned there. I'm glad I had never had an encounter with a skunk with my air gun before watching those because your shot placement. If you guys don't know out there, shot placement's a very, very important thing on a skunk.
Yep. I had to learn the hard way. I honestly, God, I had an old timer, and yes, I do live in the country. I live up in northern Michigan. I had an old timer that I talked to, and he's got a farm field not too far from me. And he told me flat out, he's like, yeah, you can't shoot skunks in the head. He's like, it'll kill them, but they'll spray every time, and to me, it was like you shut the brain off, everything else, shuts off with it. And headshots are where it's at. I learned the hard way. I got sprayed. There was a few times, and my wife can attest to this. There was a few times I came home from skunk hunting, and I'd walk in the house and be, babe, do I smell bad? And she's, go change outside. Go change outside. You can't be in the house.
Yeah,
son of a bitch, he got me. But you absolutely no headshots on a skunk because it will die instantly. But it doesn't matter. It'll spray 2-3 times after it's dead. It just it's nonstop. So it's usually you really only have two options. You can heart and lung it, and sometimes if you get a good clean heart shot, they'll go right to sleep and maybe drip a little, but they won't spray. But it's a rib cage, man. You got to send one into the power plant and then wander off into the woods, because a lot of times if you shoot them in the chest cavity to be as close to accurate as possible, you got to let them wander off and die. And I'm not big on that. It's not very ethical, but they don't know what hit them and they don't know what to spray at. So they just run off in the woods and they might make it 20 yards, 30 yards, and then they keel over dead. Sometimes it's only 10 seconds. Sometimes they find them the next morning in the middle of the parking lot, but there's no spray, no smell, no issue.
Right.
100%. If you headshot a skunk, it will spray and it will smell terrible. It'll go right to bed, but it is not the way to go. You got to either get lucky with a heart shot and put him down and hope he doesn't spray. 9 times out of 10, you won't with a good shot, or you got to send it right into the rib cage, right into the power plant, and let him kind of wander off and die. And it's not the best way to take care of things, but they tried trapping them. They tried all kinds of different things, and they even suggested relocating them. Like I was going to take the trapped skunk to throw them in the back of my car and drive them off. I was like, 4 pasties and 3 bags of venison jerky is not enough for me to have to clean out my car and change my clothes. Okay, that's just. I love pasties and venison jerky, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, it's not going to quite get it.
Yeah,
to have to buy a new car.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude. Yeah, like I say, I didn't know that about skunks. So
yeah. Actually, one of the first skunks that I caught, I had a raccoon getting in. We had chickens at the time, and the raccoon was getting into the chicken coop, and he was walking off of my chickens. And so I set a trap in the back with some dog food in it, hoping to catch a raccoon. And I walked back there one day, and there was a skunk in the trap, and I was like, son of a bitch. Well, it didn't spray initially when I walked up to see what was in the trap, but when I went back to relocate it, I had a Snuggie, the old hoodie with a blanket with a hoodie. I had a Snuggie that I held out in front of me so that it wouldn't see me. And I got close up. It sprayed the Snuggie, and it stunk terrible. But I was able to get the Snuggie over top of the trap, and I threw it in the back of my truck. And they had just built a brand new bridge very close to my house. It was like 110 feet off the water, so it was kind of a spectacle. And there was like 50 people standing on the bridge lining it, taking pictures and checking it out. Well, I drove by as slow as I possibly could with that skunk in the back of my truck, and I didn't get halfway across the bridge, and people were looking at my truck and like, because it smelled so bad. But I crop dusted every last one of them when I drove by in the truck, and that was the last one that I live trapped, because I was like, you know what? I don't care if it's in there. I'm not all about live trapping. It works, and you can relocate them, but you're probably going to smell it, and you're probably going to smell it for a while.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's just one of them critters. You just got to take them out. That's just the way it's going to be if they're causing problems.
Yep.
Well, what else we got going on in the comments here? Let's see. It's been hard to keep track of.
They're actually going by pretty quick, and I'm trying to pay attention to them too. And half of them is the wife making fun of me, and I mean, at least she's watching. I mean, I got that much going for me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a big deal right now. This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're helping me out. All this clout I'm getting.
Yeah. See what it does for you. Let me know.
Yeah.
My wife couldn't be less interested. She's come to acceptance with my arrogant addiction. We'll just leave it at that.
That's how it goes, But you're not addicted to crack cocaine, and you don't have terrible habits. If it's just about double digits, we do got 11. If air guns is your addiction, I think you're doing all right. You're probably a pretty cool dude, in my opinion.
Yep. I could be hitting the bars or.
Yep.
I have a bit of a storied past. I'm going to leave it at that. So.
I think.
But anyway, I think we'll probably hang it up, man. It's been.
That sounds good.
We're at like 120. So
I'm a little impressed, actually, that but it's been a great time. I can't say it enough. I thank you. It's been a good time.
Yeah, it's a blast, and 100%
Yeah.
doing this again.
Yeah.
So,
Honestly, if this is something you want to do, and I don't know do you know how many people we can get in on a stream here in live on
I
YouTube?
think
I mean, other
doing it
people.
doing it this way, you can only do 2 right now
Okay.
through
Okay.
through YouTube. But
Okay.
if I get the thing set up on Zoom, I think you can do this about as many as you want to do. Because it would be kind of nice to have like a round table thing going.
I agree. I agree because
Other people chiming in.
typing works. We read it, but a lot of the comments, get glossed over, and we may not actually touch over it. But if we're all
Yeah,
sitting here asking questions to each other, man, I think that you really got something going here. I think that the community is big enough that it's a need that could be scratched. I really do think so that it's a great thing you got going.
that's what it's about, man. I just want us all to I want everybody to get to know each other better.
Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like you're from Michigan. I know Corey was like when he asked where you're from, he's like, because there's a lot of you air gun dudes in Michigan. So there's
Yeah,
quite a
actually,
few guys
yeah,
up
I've seen that, and actually, there's an air gunner Bob who's in the same town as me. Okay, I recognize him. I've seen him before. I didn't know of him as the air gunner guy or what, but I wouldn't mind meeting up with him. He does a lot of like competition style shooting at 22s and stuff like that as well, and he shoots skunks as well too. But yeah, it'd be nice to meet up with people, and I know a few people. A couple subscribers had mentioned they had family in the area and they want to go. If you guys want to meet up, man, I would love. I'm not big on traveling. It's difficult for me, but it can be done. But man, we almost got to get some kind of an event together where, something that we can all get together and just shoot the shit and shoot some guns. And I think that it'd be really good.
Yep, for sure. Let's do. You got any socials that you want to plug or anything like that?
Uh,
Just the channel? Are you on
just the
anything
channel.
else?
I've deleted all my other stuff because the government's watching me.
Yep.
I mean, I have. All I really got right now is just my YouTube channel, and that's.
Okay.
I mean, it. I post as often as I can, but obviously when you're shooting mice, you don't. It's not like I got 30 of them running around the yard. I get 1 or 2 a week, or
Yeah.
well, I got 10 last month. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something. That's in my opinion,
And
that's pretty damn good.
that's cool. That's something I mentioned. I wanted to talk about. I'm glad you brought that up because he's got a goal that he's trying to hit this year. We're gonna break 100, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
try to hit 100 mice this year. It's
where were you at? Where did you end at last year?
79. I got 79 mice last year.
79. So it is really you guys go there and start watching it, and then like when you see he's got a new mouse hunt video, I was like, oh, I wonder how many got, where we at? What's the count? I mean, I'm into it, man. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I'm
I'm
trying to
itching. I'm constantly like, I need more, but I also need sleep. So I don't know what I want to do.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna plug a couple of.
Yes.
I've just got Airgun Radio. Uh,
Yeah. Subscribe to that, guys. Because listen, we can't go live on that channel until we get
yeah,
1,000
it was
subscribers.
so
YouTube
funny
and
earlier, and
yeah.
I meant to mention that it was like I had actually looked at it a few weeks ago and was like, oh, I don't got enough subs for live. And then I set this whole thing up with you today, and I was just doing a little test run myself, and it was like, oh, Jesus H, dude. So, but yes, if you guys wouldn't mind, please jump over there and give me some subscribes over there.
Good to see you, Timmy. Sorry you didn't make it to the end. Yeah, YouTube is terrible about sending out notifications, especially for channels like ours. I'm still surprised that people get notifications from my videos because for whatever reason, YouTube's just like, you know what, we'll send it out next week sometime. So
Yeah, that happens to me too. Like Ken Brown's channel, Airgun Testing and Airgun Reviews and Testing channel.
I'm gonna write that down so I can check it out.
Oh, dude, he's awesome. You'll like.
Okay.
He's in Michigan too.
Oh, nice.
I never get notifications about his videos ever. I always have to, once in a while, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go check his channel.
Yeah.
Usually, what triggers he comments on a lot of my videos, and I'll see his comments, and then I'll click on.
Go back. Yep. Yeah.
Check it out. So Instagram guys is at Radio Airgun, not Airgun Radio. If you guys are over there, Facebook, you just search Airgun Radio. If you guys got any questions, comments, anything like that on the recorded shows, the one thing I've been wanting to do, and Timmy sent some pictures in for me that one time. I'd like to see different, like you guys out there to send pictures of your guns, and I will put them in the intro to the show. So,
Nice.
like when we're doing a live, there's not really an intro or anything like that, but
Yep.
it's a recorded show. I can get them in there, and then I'll talk a little bit about who sent them and stuff like that. So, let's see. That's about it, really, guys.
Today's intro was you and me battling over trying to figure out that I didn't have my YouTube updated.
I apologize, and like Timmy,
Dude, I apologize too. It was 100% my fault.
He said he made it, and Timmy, dude, it was a nightmare, brother. But we finally got on because I made a video about, well, I can't go live, so we're going live over here, and then this, and it was just a cluster F for sure.
Well, you didn't give up though. Just like the air guns, if you're having a hard time, don't put it aside. Don't give up. Just stick it through, man. You did a great job. Got it good.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut it off here. It's been almost an hour and a half. Thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out. If there's any, again, I'm not opposed to having you guys, the subscribers and stuff. I'd like to, you feel you want to get on and chop it up with me, that's great. I'll do it. So shoot me an email, airgunradio@gmail.com, and we'll get things set up, and we'll come up with the next guest soon. Corey's coming on, so I know I got that in the bag for sure. So anyways, guys, have a great Sunday night. Have a great week. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to call you here in a minute, bud.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, Tim,
see you guys.
Bye, guys.